Right. Hi, everyone. Welcome, Katie. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, no, excited to have you. So, for everyone, Katie is the head of center relations at Sendoso. Katie has been recognized as one of the top 100 female B2B SaaS pipeline pioneers and as Next 50 Creators by Rev Genius. She's an active member of the GTM communities in the US, multiple of those. In fact, she's known as the gifting queen. And then quickly advance in her career by being an expert on direct mail and how to use it effectively to enhance business interactions and speed up buyers' journey. Katie, super excited to have you. This is an area which a lot of people are curious about, but just don't have much idea on what's going on. So welcome to our podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm excited to dive into everything with you, and I'm really excited to be here. So thank you again.
Great. So seeing your journey, right, from SDR to head of center relations, what initially drew you to sales and marketing, and how did your career path unfold? And what exactly is so Sendoso? A little bit about Sendoso and sender relations. It'll be great to get a quick intro.
Yeah, of course. So, what led me to a career in sales, I've always been pretty outgoing and I've always loved talking to people, which led me to sales. I was actually working for a staffing company and they'd recently undergone some leadership changes and shifts and things like that. So, my recruiter had actually called me about a role that he had at this B2B company called Sendoso, and the job honestly almost seemed too good to be true, because gifting is my love language. So I was all in and I started at Sendoso in 2021 as an SDR. And during my time in that role, I realized that our sequence reply rates weren't as high as they should have been. So I pitched our director of sales development and our CRO on a role where I would essentially just rewrite all of our sequencing. So they put me into my first marketing role as a life cycle marketing associate, where I was able to take our top line sequence reply rates from around 2 to 3% to 18 to 26%.
Whoa.
And
How did
yeah,
you do that? Like, what was the secret sauce there?
yeah. So I think it's all about segmenting your audience when it comes to email messaging. So I actually nerded out. I looked into Skip Miller. He has a concept called ATL and BTL buyers. So above the line, your ATL buyers are typically your VP plus, and they really only care about the ROI of the investments that they're making. Whereas your BTL buyers, they care about the features and benefits and how you're going to make their day to day lives easier, their team's lives easier, right? So that messaging is different. We also look at intent data, right? Are you in consideration and awareness? Do you need to be educated, or you purchase and decision? Do I need to do a good job of differentiation, right? So I think segmenting our audience by multiple factors allowed us to provide the most targeted messaging possible. So that was kind of the secret sauce with that for sure.
Wow, that is super interesting. ATL, so generally people say, director, VP, and above is one category, and the other one is managers and everyone. You're calling them ATL and BTL, above
Yeah.
the line, and the decision makers care about ROI, and the users care about features. So
Yes.
tailor
Yeah.
your messaging accordingly. Awesome. That
Yeah.
that's great.
Exactly. So from there, I was promoted to manage a BDR team, which I loved. Then I moved into an enablement and strategy role for our customers, where I taught them how to properly leverage a gifting platform. And then now I'm in this role as the head of sender relations at Sendoso. Now, to quickly, and I know this is long winded, so I apologize, but to quickly kind of break down what Sendoso does, we are an AI enhanced gifting automation platform that's data backed by hundreds of thousands of users and tens of millions of gifts sent. Our platform essentially makes it easy to automate personalized connections and drive revenue. In my role as the head of sender relations, which is a very Sendoso specific title, I serve as the chief evangelist for Sendoso. I also come up with creative direct mail campaigns for our team internally. I support sales on sales calls as a sales and marketing subject matter expert, head up social media campaigns on LinkedIn and helped create things like playbooks and such for our customers to leverage to get the most out of our platform.
Awesome. So one question obviously is Sendoso is this gifting platform, and in today's world where Gen AI has taken over, right, and emails are getting cluttered and less responses are coming to those, direct gifting can stand out as a superpower. So, what has been Sendoso's playbook? Like, how have you guys increased ARR? How have you communicated this message? And where does it work? Like, would love to understand more. This is exciting.
Yeah. So direct mail is what we do here at Sendoso and is in everything that we do, right? So we definitely eat our own dog food. We use gifting in all sorts of ways. For marketing, gifting can help us amplify our brand and stand out in a saturated market. For sales, gifting helps us shorten deal cycles and hit revenue targets. For CX, we generate brand loyalty and increase retention and more, right? And in 2023, Sendoso actually saw a 900% ROI from gifting through our own platform, right? So, kind of cool stat when it comes to eating our own dog food. Now, when it comes to our general GTM strategy, Casey Jenkins, our SVP of marketing, just actually released a blog on our top 3 GTM bets of 2024. And those are unique and personalized events, programmatic AI enhanced outbound, and LinkedIn for demand creation and capture. So to if you want me to dive into those a little
Yeah,
bit further, I can. Okay.
yeah.
So to dive into those further, we've moved away from traditional booths at conferences and we're now focusing on more intimate hosted events. So all of these events are community first, authentic, scalable, and repeatable. A great example of these are the real retreats that we're throwing across the US. So, these real retreats give marketers a really peaceful place to step away from the chaos of larger conferences and to engage with others in a no sales environment. And we bring in things like massages, therapy dogs, brunch, and we host panels that are all about real talk. These events are absolutely delightful. We're also investing in intimate CMO breakfasts with, people like Matt Hines and the CMO Coffee Talk group. And with those more intimate events, we're actually seeing over 1000% ROI, which is pretty incredible. And then, when it comes to AI enhanced outbound, we have an SDR. What's
When you
up?
say over 100, over 1,000% ROI, can you
Yeah.
can you define that for us? Like, how many leads or what is that number like?
Yeah, so we calculate ROI on closed won business. So over 1,000% ROI from what we've invested has turned into closed won revenue for Sendoso.
Oh, wow. Okay. So if you spend $1, you're getting $1,000 in business.
Correct.
Interesting. And we would totally like to discuss and partner on these events with you. These sound awesome. And again, you're differentiating yourself from the crowd. Personalized retreats, people relax. They are in a different environment. They're not rushing. It's not conference with bad food and and tons of people to just badger you. Right? It's
Yeah,
more exclusive. Seems like almost like a resort vacation.
right, exactly, and that's what we want it to feel like, right? We want it to be really, really intimate and relaxing, and who doesn't want to go pet a therapy dog? We've seen so many people really excited about that. We just hosted one, at the Adobe Summit. We've rented out one of the spas in the Venetian, and when you walked through the doors, there were 2 massive Great Danes right inside the doors to greet you, and it's delightful. It's a more human experience where people can kind of let their guard down, pet a dog, go listen to some real talks about real issues that marketers are facing that are typically avoided on these larger conference stages, right? So it's just a really cool laid back opportunity for people to really engage and get to know each other, which is really nice.
Beautiful. I think this is something which is a great learning for all of us. You had two more points. Sorry, I
Yeah.
cut.
No, 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 it's fine. I know the events are pretty awesome, but We're looking into, we're leveraging AI tools to, create these kind of AI enhanced outbound motions. So we have one SDR that is now able to operate at the scale of many SDRs. And we believe that personal, thoughtful human connection doesn't have to be manual or one to one. And we're seeing lots of success with that. And we're planning to continue to kind of scale that out. And then
And
finally,
on this one, like
mhm,
one feedback we are getting, because we do a lot of testing with customers and motions and sequences.
yeah.
Uh, People are starting to separate manual messages from AI because of all these flowery words like trailblazer, revolutionizing something. You are a pathfinder. Like it's just those kind of words. You now see them in the copy, and you're like, okay, this is chat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anything you're doing there, like have you seen any work or any customization or like how's it working for you? Because a lot of people say, hey, now we send these hundreds of thousands of messages, but no response.
Yeah. So I think you have to work with the right tools, right? And you have to be able to train the tools. We have one motion that we're using right now where it is so smart that it's able to, you know, offer up a DoorDash e-gift through Sendoso, but use the language that suggests it'll look at Yelp in your city and find a nice restaurant and say, "Hey, heard X was a nice restaurant in your city. Here's a DoorDash e-gift to go order it on me." Right? So it's this really, really nice language. And we've been able to, somehow train it to not sound like those horrible AI generated comments on LinkedIn. It's actually been working pretty well for us.
And a lot of your outbound is about gifting.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then that itself segregates it from the rest of the messages because that's rest of the messages are like LinkedIn profile and then something. But you guys are saying, hey, here's a great restaurant in your area. Here's a DoorDash coupon on us. Go enjoy.
Yeah, exactly. And it helps to break through the noise. And I mean, we now, I talked about how we're AI enhanced, right? We just added this new feature called Smart Send. And Smart Send is an AI enhanced gift recommendation engine. So if you don't know somebody, but you're, prospecting to them or reaching out in some sort of ABM fashion, Smart Send will take that person's email address and run it through some data platforms that we work with to pool personalized gifts based on that recipient.
Wow.
So, for me, for example, it pools leadership books. It pools a craft beer kit, right? It knows personalized things that I like. And so that's another way that we're able to personalize at scale with AI that is really exciting.
Beautiful. Yeah. No, we definitely believe in the power of data, and in fact, we can be an enrichment partner as well. So quickly, one question I'm personally curious about: gifting works for existing customers. That's a done deal.
Mhm. Right.
But like cold reach outs,
Yep.
uh, you guys are saying it works for that as well?
Yes. So it's all about the approach. And I love this question because what we see often when people get a gifting platform is this automatic kind of response to say, hey, in exchange for your time, I'll send you a $50 e-gift, right? In exchange for your time, I'll send you cupcakes or cookies or whatever the gift is. What we've actually realized is that gifting without an ask performs better and results in more meetings booked. So, in our email copy, we are not attaching the ask to the gift offer. In fact, we lead with the relevance and what our platform can offer, etc. We sign off the email, then we put a PS, right? PS, noticed that this restaurant is really popular in your city. Grab some on me today. Now, typically what happens is the law of reciprocity kicks in, right? As human beings, we do not want to receive something without reciprocating by nature. So this approach is less icky, right? Where you're not attaching it to an ask. It doesn't seem bribey, right? We're not trying to bribe here. We're just trying to form a relationship.
Right.
And, that helps us to break through the noise and set us apart from, the digital clutter that we all experience today. But we're able to kind of set the tone for the relationship moving forward when we don't attach the ask. And when we look at the sales funnel, we actually infuse meaningful touch points throughout, right? So pre-demo, we're leveraging some lower value things, right? Like e-gifts for a coffee chat, lunch to start a conversation. Then post demo, our account executive team is sending hyper personalized gifts to really, set the tone for the relationship. So, for example, right, if you were on a call with me and you noticed the Legos that I have in my background, you can send me a Lego set, right? And say, can't wait to build something great together, right? That kind of really resonates and helps to push that deal forward and to create that champion. And then, we constantly see that there's more and more buyers involved in every decision, right? I think there's an average of 8 or 9 these days.
Right.
So, to expand the sphere of influence, right? We're sending things like a plant. He wanted to plant the idea of looping you into the conversation, right? You can get really fun with it. In fact, our customers, a company called Magaya, they were able to shorten their sales cycle from 60 to 90 days to 45 days with gifting throughout the sales cycle. So we're
Wow.
seeing a lot of success, not just with the door openers, but also in deal progression and throughout the entire cycle.
Interesting. Like some very good nuggets here. One, you said that's actually beautiful, which is like don't make it transactional upfront. I'll give you this in lieu of that.
Hmm.
Automatically makes it a transaction from the get go. You're saying, hey, let's build a relationship. This is what we can help with. By the way, here's this thing. There's no expectation, and you're seeing a better response rate on that.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. I mean, I'm sure that you've seen it before, right? I think buyers are exhausted. I
Yeah.
mean, I think about myself, right? I have 40,000 unread emails in my inbox and I wish that I was joking.
Right.
It's just so saturated, right? And it feels like as a buyer that you are just looked like as this bag of money and everyone wants a piece of it. So when you're able to show someone that you've not only done your research on their company, but as on them as a human being, that feels good, right? And so personalized gifting allows you to kind of show that you care about them as a human being. And I don't think there's anything that is more effective or beautiful as that.
And the second thing you mentioned was it can be along the way to multiple stakeholders. Like if it's a committee buying large deal, 100K plus, there's 7 people in the decision making process, including the CFO office. You're saying you should be gifting cleverly and in making it very intuitive, but you should be gifting across the journey to multiple stakeholders.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I mean, it's as long as, your main decision or your main contact, right? I think like getting permission from them and saying like, "Hey, who else should be involved in this?" and, getting those names from them and saying, "I'd love to send them a gift." And that kind of helps to just get them more eager to talk to you, right? Because usually whenever you're multi-threading or selling up in a deal, now you're talking about the VP's C suites, right? And it's really hard to get on their calendar. So when you can have something land on their desk that is meaningful or delightful, right? When we're talking about the plant play, for example, and sending a plant and saying, hey, wanted to loop you in, right? That is not necessarily personalized to the person, but it's incredibly relevant. And
Right?
then you can make the note card that goes along with the gift really delightful and point back to that CTA, and that's going to be memorable, right? There's no buyer out there today that's receiving gifts every single day of their life. It stands out.
Yeah. And how do you personalize that scale?
Yeah. So personalization at scale, I mean, with our smart send features, we're able to do that, right? So with our AI enhanced smart send feature, you're able to personalize at scale. And then, I think the most effective thing that our customers do is use all of our integration partners to automate gifting throughout the sales cycle. So, at different for we'll use Salesforce as an example, right? Because everyone's familiar with Salesforce. As deals progress through the funnel, you can set up gifting triggers that are automatically sending gifts
Right.
to people, right? So that helps with the timely nature of gifting and making sure that it is delivered to the right person at the right time, right? We also integrate with intent data.
Okay.
partners, right? So as soon as someone is, when we're talking about a cold prospect, right? As soon as someone is crossing over a threshold, right? Maybe it's into the purchase stage, right? And we can trigger a gift then. And maybe it's something like some company swag with a piece of ROI collateral that will push them to book a demo, right? So there's a ton of ways. I think it's personalized by intent and by different triggers and making sure that you're at the right time. But again, that AI feature also helps.
Awesome. And how do you measure ROI in this case? Like you said, 1,000% for the events. For every dollar you spend, you get $1,000 in close one revenue. What has been some of the metrics around gifting? Like, hey, I spent so much on gifting, and what's my ROI?
Yeah, so I mean, in 2023, we saw 900% ROI from gifting. I think that's probably the best stat. We have a ton of customer success stories that everyone can look at. They're filtered by different use cases, et cetera, on our website, so you can check those out. We also just released a ton of automation playbooks that are really interesting to look at when you want to see just how automated gifting can be and how these things are triggered and the different trigger points. So would definitely suggest to check those things out on our
Got it.
website.
And Katie, what about ACVs? Right? Like, hey, I'm selling like $100 a month product versus $10,000 per month, like 100,000 deal. Where does gifting start showing more results? Like, what is that ACV? Do you have any of those suggestions?
Yeah, so I mean, we work with people, we work with small SMB companies all the way up to enterprise companies that are selling large deals, right? I think it's just the approach, right? And whenever we're talking to a more SMB company that is selling to, smaller companies, I think the value of the gift kind of goes down, right? And you're able to break through a little bit easier with those kinds of buyers. But then when you're going up market and you're selling to enterprise companies, it can get pretty difficult, right? To capture the attention of buyers at a place like Meta, for example, right? So we need to get a little more creative with the tactics there. And, we've worked with companies that have created these amazing kits. For example, we just created one. It was a field marketing survival kit. And it was this locked box, and you had to scan a QR code on the top to watch a video to get the code. And we have things like that are actually landing at people's offices, which is pretty awesome. And, of course, that instills some sort of curiosity where they have to go open that box, they have to get in there. So I think the approach changes, but the general idea remains the same, right? And it's all about just breaking through the noise. And companies of all sizes kind of need that these days in such a digitally saturated market. So, but I mean, we have a solution for every person, every buyer, right? We've even sold into regulated industries, right? Like government or medical offices, right? One of our customers was
Particular industry? Sorry, I
no, you're
please.
fine.
No, no. I think any particular industry which is showing you more results, like top industries for you guys for gifting.
Yeah, so SaaS is definitely our top market. But we're also seeing like SaaS tech, things like that. But we're also seeing random other companies that are becoming very interested. For example, one of our big customers now is a sports team, like a professional sports teams. They're leveraging Sendoso for their season ticket holders. So I think there's a lot of use cases, right? And we're kind of exploring a B2C case because we do have a PLG version of our platform that we've noticed B2C people signing up for to be able to send to their customers. So it's very interesting. Historically, it's been mainly, SaaS tech. Um, but we're exploring expanding out into other industries and potentially even, having a B2C offering. So
Right. And
it's
I didn't mean to
interesting.
cut you, but you were talking about the government use case, and that
Mhm.
is also super interesting because healthcare, government, people say these are regulated industries. Gifting is not allowed. They will see it as a
Right.
form of bribery, like you said earlier. So how does it work in those sectors? Sorry,
Yeah, so it's interesting because, there's definitely regulations, but then there's some things that are acceptable. Like, for example, perishables that they can share with the office. So one of our customers sent cookies out to doctors and they were able to see a ton of ROI there. I don't have the exact stat, but so cookies, branded swag. Once you put a brand on something, the value of it essentially goes to zero. So that's something that's allowed. But we see a lot of success with perishables in those regulated industries because it's a shareable, an office shareable, so it's allowed.
This is so awesome. Like we've been talking to a lot of like these healthcare clients, and everyone says the same thing: you cannot gift. And now you're saying perishables and branded swag.
Mhm.
Brilliant, like awesome. And I know we are coming to the end, Katie. Last 5 minutes, so want to cover like the tools which have provided you success. Like you were talking about some of the tools. Like what are the MarTech tools you are using currently at Sendoso for your GTM motions?
Yeah, so right now, I would say that a few of my favorites are Clay and Hockey Stack. So Clay is powering that outbound scaled motion, and then Hockey Stack is giving us a really holistic view of all of the touch points in a deal cycle, including organic social, which is, historically really hard to track. I would say those are my favorite, and then of course we have things like Sixth Sense Marketo, outreach and more. So
I like the way how you put Six Sense and others in a different bucket. You're seeing more value from the first two, is what you're saying?
yeah, I think those are our newest tools that we're the most excited about, right? I think and that point to those top 3 GTM kind of bets that we're making. Those 2 tools are helping us to kind of scale these motions and do so in a trackable way, right? I think Hockey Stack personally is the one that I'm the most excited about. And the reasoning for that is because, a big portion of my job is organic social and getting our brand out there on LinkedIn. And it's every person's nightmare, every kind of social person's nightmare is tracking
Right?
because it's so hard to figure that out, right? Unless you want to include some big ugly UTM link on every single post, which hurts your reach, right? It's really hard to understand what is actually being driven from LinkedIn. And so Hockey Stack is narrowing that gap for us. And we're actually able to see that it's driving impact. And, I can use all the validation in the world. So
Right. No, thanks
helpful.
for that because we're going very deep on LinkedIn ourselves in terms
Mhm.
of workflows, automation, extracting likes and comments, followers. Like, how do you convert all that meaningful engagement into qualified pipeline, right? And seems like
Mhm.
that could be a potential partner for us. Uh,
Yeah, you should definitely check it out.
exactly. So, Katie, final question. Any advice to budding SDRs in terms of like, hey, how do I get more MQL to SQL conversion, which is like the perennial pain point, the band qualification from the sales side, right? Like, how do I clear that muster and just generate a highly qualified sales qualified pipeline?
Yeah, so I think it's all to an SDR. I think it's all about creating the right lists and truly understanding your buyers, right? So take a look at who's bought your platform in the past and then create a lookalike list, right? And using some of your tools of potential buyers or, look at your target accounts and make sure that you're reaching out to the right people. I would suggest to SDRs to segment your messaging. I think that's one of the most important things, is really tailoring your messaging to that specific person. And you can do that in an automated fashion, right? It's just creating that sequence and duplicating it and changing the value propositions, right? Things like that. Um, and we as a marketing team, right, when it comes to MQLs as pipeline, like we shy away from the old school kind of method of throwing anyone who downloads an ebook over to sales, right? Instead, we look at MQLs as people who are interested but need to be educated, right? So getting them to those intimate events, making sure that we have webinars going on to educate them, etc., so that we are sure to continue to stay top of mind with gifting, right? So
No, and
I think that would be my advice.
awesome. No, thanks, Katie. This was really, really powerful, like that ATL, BTL thing, swag, branded swag, and perishables. And like the whole thing you talked about gifting at multiple stages, personalization, like just a lot of golden nuggets there. We believe very strongly in the power of ICP, ideal customer profile definition. In fact, that's what
Mhm.
you and you spoke a lot about that. Would love to probably with you or others do a follow-on workshop on script writing. You talked about personalized messages. I think there will
Mhm.
be a lot of interest. How do I write those personalized messages at scale? But
Yeah,
yeah, we'll catch up with you offline on that and
I
see
would
if.
love to.
Thank you. Thanks, Katie. Thanks a lot. Love
Thank
the
you for
conversation.
having me.